Let's go. What's going on, everybody? Good evening. Let's partay, baby. ZMF says, what's going on? Simone D, welcome. Tree Hugger. I see Jesse Johnson is in chat. What's up, Jesse J? Justin. It's the Justin crew. I see DJ B-Sec lurking in chat. He's such a lurker. I see him in the green room. That feed's going to catch up, and he's going to crack up here. He's like, dude, I'm not a lurker, bud. Well, I hope everybody's doing well out there. It is Thursday, and it's 5 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, which means it's 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. But better yet, it's time for some Slay Security Plus. I hope everybody's having a great week. I just got my cup of coffee here. Returned from a beautiful hike with my brother and my friend Nicholas. My brother Bill came from Kalispell, Montana to visit, and he just started a YouTube channel called Daily Outside, which really is a breath of fresh air in the YouTube community. He noticed that a lot of us are spending a lot of time plugged in, and just saw how we're a lot of times plugged into our devices. And Bill had the vision of going out and getting really high def 4K footage of anything from hiking to trail restoration, wildlife footage, for the sole purpose of getting people to just disconnect, even if they're at work. He's got a thing called Daily Disconnect. Absolutely love it. It's just these little shorts of really just serene stills, and just like these shorts of being outside, and it just takes you away from wherever you're at for just 30 seconds. Highly recommend you check that out, not just because it's my brother, but this is stuff that I would check out anyways, part of that mental health quest, just to take a deep breath and to disconnect sometimes. So that's Daily Outside, and check out the Daily Disconnect. It's super cool. Link, ZMF says, link, get your link. How's everybody's week? I'm working, so I'll just listen. What's up, Ken McDonald? Good coffee. This is on sale. Buy one, get one free. It's a Italian coffee that the name has slipped in my mind. We got a special show tonight. DJ B-Sec is our guest host. We're really excited for that. We'll bring out here in a second once we get done with our lesson. We're going over 2.4 in our CompTIA Security Plus objectives. Hang out with me for a second while I get some links dialed up. Let me know how you're doing in chat. How is everybody? How is everyone's journey? Where are you on your 30 plus journey? Have you taken it? Did you tune in for Jerry's live stream this morning for the Daily Cyber Threat Brief? Do we have anybody that is taking the PNPT, PJPT, or any of the TCM certifications coming up? Let me know in chat. Huge shout out to Mr. Taylor, a Cyber Hamburglar, for the awesome Tuesday night session. Ken McDonald just passed 601 a month ago. Heck yes, Ken. Woohoo! We need to get B-Sec out here, so we've got these sound effects. Okay, link coming in chat. This is from my brother's YouTube channel. Please go check it out. Give it a follow. Even if you're not an outdoors person, it's just nice to support our community. Like I always say, build in public when you can. Try things new. And I love where he's headed with it. I love the vision behind it. And so give that a shot. Give that a try. And disconnect once in a while, man. It's awesome. Okay, where are we at? Let's get started. If this is your first time joining us, welcome to Slay Security Plus. My name is Jesse J. I am your humble host, aka the Cosmic Cowboy. And over the next hour or so, me, you, Ken McDonald, Evan, I see DJ B-Sec, Regina Franklin. A lot of you are going to be crushing our Security Plus objectives. We're going to be going through some live questions. We're going to be leveling up. So whether you're just getting here into the industry or your boss is making you take the Security Plus, our goal is a community-built initiative to bring you the best study resources in a fun, live, actionable method. That brings me to let you know that I am so thankful to be able to get up here on Thursday nights and do this. I'd like to thank our session sponsor, Simply Cyber, Dr. Jerry Ogier and his team, backed up with over 20 years of industry experience in education, hands behind the keyboard. You name it, Dr. Jerry has really done a lot in the industry with over 16,000 students and then well over 100,000 subscribers at this point, revolutionizing the way that we look at the training industry, edutainment, content creation, mentorship, you name it. So go check out Dr. Jerry Ogier, simplycyber.io to join the inclusive community. And we thank you for your sponsorship. And we look forward to collaborating in future missions. And what is my mission? What is my vision? Well, I saw when I got here about a year ago that it was really expensive to study for Security Plus. I like to teach and I like to help people where I can. And so I made it my mission. As soon as I passed, I said, I need to find a way to give back to the community. So I started taking all of these amazing resources, processing them, condensing them, learning more about how these exams work. And I said, I will be the cyber outlaw, the cosmic cowboy of the digital West, and we'll get these resources and bring them to the public at free or no cost. So we stick to the inclusive model, 0 to hero. So whether it's your first time in cybersecurity or you're a veteran and you just want a refresher, or you just stumbled across the channel because you heard about it during this daily cyber threat brief, we are glad you are here. We like to keep things freely available or absolutely low cost. And everything we do here at Slay Security Plus is industry tested, whether that is our learning methods, the Pete Zerger retention method, or gap learning. We keep it industry tested. So we're using efficient learning and retention methods so that you pass quickly the first time, saving that money, saving that time. Actionable. So whether you're here day one or you've been here before, you can start studying for that CompTIA Security Plus. And then we operate on the we is greater than me mentality, meaning I'm just a guy up here with a vision. You all out there truly are what make up Slay Security Plus, and it wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the interest of you all and the support and all that. It just wouldn't happen. You guys are. Okay, how does Slay Security Plus work? This is a relatively well-documented method of studying and taking certifications. It's worked for me and many others in their Security Plus and other exams. I kind of call this the Pete Zerger method, as it was influenced by him. He's got Inside Cloud and Security YouTube. But really what it comes down to is the first thing you want to do is you want to take a practice exam. We want to figure out what we don't know, right? Because you can't just kind of come at these blindly, right? It's really good to get an idea of what we don't know. So we take a practice exam to figure out what we don't know. We document those results, and then we go into some targeted reading, focusing on those weak areas. We don't want to cover too much of the stuff we're already good at. That doesn't make any sense. So we do this targeted reading, and then we quiz ourselves again, and you repeat that process until you're hitting about 90% on your practice exams, and usually a good indicator, right? So this is called either gap learning theory, or you could use this as spaced retention. Every time we study and do targeted reading, every time you take a break, the more information you retain is up here. And the time, it's like, if you can imagine on a graph, right? The longer the time goes, the more the information drops. Well, with this type of learning and retention method, every time the time goes by, the amount that you retain actually goes higher. So it's just really efficient and keeps you from wasting time. Matthew Pelkey says, I'm about 60 through the Sec Plus Cert Master book. It should be done in 10 days or so. Then review and take practice tests before taking the cert. Yep, the CompTIA Cert Master practice tests are really hard. We are going to actually use the CompTIA Cert Master for our slides today. I'm still creating our Security Plus slides plus. I want people out there to get a good idea of what CompTIA speak looks like, because they do word things a little differently. And it's just, I want that confidence booster as you're going in to take your test. Where else are we? Look at these show notes. What else do we got? Boom. I'm excited for tonight because we're going over domain 2.4, which is an overview of malware, hackery stuff, right? The fun stuff. As we roll into our show, I'd also like to thank our other show sponsor, a session sponsor, Josh Mason at Mason SC. He really is your IT partner for secure and efficient future, whether it's CISSP consulting and training for your examinations, whether you need somebody that's an IT security consultant, reach out to Josh Mason. You can find him on LinkedIn, or you can find him at masonsc.com. reach out to him. He's been an absolute blast to work with when it comes to coaching and curriculum building. So again, can't thank him enough for his sponsorship. With that being said, let me check. Do I have any other show notes? Anything else? Brand new workstation. Jerry texted me, and it should ship here in about a week. That's part of the sponsorship. The Simply Cyber sponsorship is a workstation so that we can actually do live streaming labs, have a few more special guests on at one time, but really it's so that we can continue to create this free educational model. So got a workstation coming, got a guest host or a special guest tonight. I think that's it. Let me get a drink of my coffee while you get a drink of your coffee. We're going to be working out of domain 2.4. And we are going to start things off a little bit differently. We're actually going to practice what we preach, right? And so the Slay Security Plus / Doc Pete Zerger learning method says we're going to take a quiz first. So we're actually going to come right out the gate. We're going to do three fun, quick questions, and these will kind of help just see where we are. And it's kind of just a sneak peek of how this learning method works. So we're going to start off with 3 quiz questions. And then after that, we're going to go into some, because this is what we'd be doing, right? You're going to take that first set of questions, you see where you're at, and then we'll hit into some targeted study after that. Bring on DJ BSEC, answer a few more questions, and then we're going to go from there. Evan says, I'm waiting until after I finish my WGU term to tackle PJPT, PNPT. Yeah, that hands-on stuff, man. It's 48 hours of, they build in the rest time, so you definitely get sleep and you can eat and all that stuff, obviously, but you're hacking, you're going after it. It's a blast. Probably too, in my cyber journey thus far, it was some of the most fun I've ever had, I guess, testing. It's a blast. I love hacking though too, so it was just fun for me. All right, let's rock. A company has noticed an apparent uptick or increase in users disconnecting their sessions, then immediately reestablishing them. Their behavior after reestablishing the session is also noticeably different. What could this indicate? And I want you to select the 2 best options. If this is your first time joining us here at Slay Security Plus, the way that we do our live exam testing is we ask that you scan the QR code there, or you go to vivox.app and you enter that ID of 117-975-626, and that should let you right into this. And then this way we can do some live anonymous testing. Nobody gets to see who's putting in the answers and that kind of stuff. So feel free to jump along and let's smash out these 3 quiz questions and see where we're at. Tree Hugger says, we've got this. Heck yeah, you do. I see BSEC in the green room just hanging. A company has noticed an apparent uptick in users disconnecting their sessions, then immediately reestablishing them. Their behavior after reestablishing the session is noticeably different. What could this indicate? And remember, with CompTIA, when we see things like select the 2 best options, what is the best answer, what is most likely, that can be an indicator that you're dealing with a question that is partially graded, right? And so we see the 2 best options. If you get one of the options but miss the other one, most likely you'll get partial credit on that question. Again, why I hound over and over why it's just so important to answer every single question, even if it is with your best guess, because some of these that you select 2, select 3. If you select 2 or 3 and you miss one, but it could get others, CompTIA does give partial credit. I don't know what the grading scale is, what that formula or algorithm looks like, but they do give partial credit. So make sure we are answering every question. We're trying a little bit of a new format tonight with a special guest. Last time we had a special guest on, we kind of railroaded them with talking about the course and when we wanted to share their insight. So that's why we're doing this a little differently, is get some learning going, bring our special guest on, but then not just make them sit there. We want our special guests and our live edutainers to be part of the process, right? I know that I wasn't feeling confident on this one. I actually got this one wrong when I took this today. I got half of it wrong. Survey says this is a replay attack in cross-site scripting. A replay attack captures or guesses the token value and then submits to reestablish the session illegitimately. A session ending and then would immediately reestablish and most likely indicate this type of attack. Cross-site scripting can compromise session cookies, could then lead to the prediction of future session cookies, compromising all future sessions. A forgery attack attempts to hijack an ongoing authenticated session to perform some sort of action without the user's consent. This attack would not show disconnects. I want to do we understand where CompTIA is going with this? Also, these are CompTIA practice questions, and we are doing that intentionally. So, and I'm not sponsored by CompTIA. I want to make sure we're putting that out there. These are CompTIA practice questions, and this is done intentionally because I really want you out there to get an idea of the syntax. I think Professor Messers are the best in the business. They are the closest to the real deal that you're going to find. These are from the Cert Master 701. And what I do love about them this time is you just get to see CompTIA speak, how they kind of refer to things, and it helps that confidence factor, right? And I'll take myself out because this isn't formatted. Oh, I can't. Yeah, I can. Right, and then an ejection attack is also going to look differently. This attack would also not show the disconnects and reestablishments within the log. And so the replay attack, that's where somebody's taking those credentials and they go back however we'll talk more about that, but you take those credentials, smash them, crack them, pass them, and then you get back in, right? You log back in. So that would be a replay. And then the way the cross-site scripting works. With forgery and injection attacks, you're not going to see that, that disconnect and reestablishment within the logs. Little things to help you answer the questions by extracting that information from the question. Question number 2, an IT intern named Justin Gold prepares and connects used laptops to the company network. The intern discovers that the system automatically blocks all laptops from network access once connected. What could be the cause of this problem? Select the 2 best options. We've got malware, B, pups or potentially unwanted programs, C, incorrect local network settings, or D, registry settings. What's his name got to do with it? Well, because if Justin Gold is in chat, then it would be funny. What's his name got to do with it? Who wants us? Now, something to remember with CompTIA is they do give sometimes some generalized answers, right? Malware, as we're going to learn, is just a way to do. Oh, that's a bright light. Let's get that on my face. You guys out. Bring it down. Malware is just malicious software that is considered like bad to the user. It's the definition of malware. So that could be an answer. Potentially unwanted programs probably wouldn't be an answer. You know, a potentially unwanted program a lot of times is also referred to as bloatware. Not necessarily malicious, just takes up space and it's maybe clunky or you never use it, just comes built in. Or you go to a website, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We've all been there and we've all been through the bloatware routines. See, BSEC asked an interesting question in the private chat here. Yeah, he said, this is an interesting question. What system are we talking about? And that is something that I really want to hammer home in my time taking CompTIA test, Security Plus, and then teaching it and learning how they operate. Is they're going to give you a scenario, all right? Then CompTIA is going to give you a selection of possible answers. They're going to want the best answer from the options they give you, not necessarily the best answer in the industry or necessarily the best answer that's in even the CompTIA book. They want to see, can you look at the question and extract the answer from the choices they've given you? I know that seems really like, well, duh, Jess, that's obvious. I cannot tell you how many times in our head we go, no, that can't be it. I know that you actually, this is how it's really done, but maybe this answer kind of looks like it could be it. It probably is it. CompTIA is not going to go uber deep. I promise you. They don't throw super crazy trick questions at you. They don't throw super crazy trick questions at you, and they're not trying to keep you from getting your certification. I don't want to say that the Security Plus is an easy exam because I think that could be taken as offensive. But because it is a theory-based exam, meaning that if you have the training information and you can memorize and you know how to extract information that is already in here from memorizing, you're going to pass. Like, I'm not saying it's an easy certification because I thought I was going to fail the entire time. It's an easy certification exam. You got this. Like, don't think too deep. CompTIA wants you to know what's on their exam objectives. They may throw some curveball at you, but we got you. Like, you're going to be okay. It is an exam. It's totally doable. So if you're psyching yourself out, just don't. I promise. Just don't. You got this. Oh, we got a little Whitlock in here. Christopher Whitlock joining the show. All right, let's pop this question off so we can get to our next one. I was incorrect. See, I gave bad information. Malware and potentially unwanted programs. Malware is software that accomplishes malicious actions. Malware includes worms, trojans, viruses. Firewalls can block systems with known malware from accessing the network. Potentially unwanted programs are not necessarily malicious, but can potentially create problems for networks. Okay, I see how that was out. See, I got that one wrong. It's okay to get it wrong, as long as you learn something from it after the lesson. And I'm just throwing this out there. The Slay Security Plus questions are going to be so much better. Just throwing that out there, folks. A new virus is infecting computers on a segment of a company's network. Containment at the time is unknown due to the virus changing its code. What type of virus is infecting the computers? A Trojan, A. B, a boot virus. C, a polymorphic virus. Or C, a script virus. Cool. We can talk about that question. Ken McDonald says, here for the first time. Wish I had joined 10 years ago. Man, Ken, I cannot tell you the amount of joy that does my heart. And I mean that. I'm a softie like that. Like, comments like that make every hour getting up early, putting slides together, finding sponsors, making posts, like time away from the family, that kind of stuff really makes it worth it, man. Like, I appreciate that. Justin Gold, from John Bertucci, from Margarita Giron, from all of us at Slay Security Plus. That means the world to us. Appreciate that. People are answering this question pretty quick. A new virus infecting computers on a segment of a company's network. Containment at this time is unknown due to the virus changing its code. What type of virus is infecting the computers? There is, this is very close to something you'd see on the exam, especially like an easy question. And maybe some of you have taken ISC2 exams. And I don't know if you guys know this out there, but the way their questions work is they actually get harder or easier depending on the question you answered before. They have a predictive analysis way of however you answered the question you're on, they try to predict whether you will successfully answer the next one. And so ISC2 does things a little bit funky like that. With CompTIA, they do have some questions that are really easy. I mean, you're going to look at it and go, is this seriously an exam question? They're going to have some where you might scratch your head a little bit. And then unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on what, they do throw some hard questions that aren't necessarily hard in the sense that the concepts are hard, but what they're asking you maybe just not in the way you studied it, or they may pull a note like, just one line, but those questions are few and far between. So they do give you some medium, hard, and easy ones. There is a keyword in this question that answers this for us. The keyword is changing its code. All right, when we think of metamorphosis, when a butterfly goes into its shell, and then it does stuff and then becomes a moth or whatever, metamorphosis, right? Change. So morphic, to morph into something means change into something. Poly means many or more than, right? Poly's more than one, right? Poly. So polymorphic, changes many times, many changes. So this question right here has the answer in it. Changing its code, a virus that constantly changes its code. We know that it's a polymorphic virus, and we'll get more into that. Again, exam strategies, little exam hacks. I cannot tell you how many CompTIA questions answer their own question within the question by either a keyword. I cannot stress keywords. Learn your keywords. Cool. Actually, let's bring that back up. Let me fire up our next question for home return. Boom. All right, we are going to be going over domain 2.4, which is analyzing indicators of malicious activity. What is going to happen is CompTIA, like we went over, is going to give you a scenario, or basically a scenario, and they're going to ask you to analyze what happened. You don't have to be a security professional. This is very theory-based, but that's how this is going to look on test day. That's what they're going to have you do. What does domain 2.4 look like? Well, we want you to analyze the indicators of malicious activity in malware, physical, network, and application attacks. This is going to be from a little bit more of a bird's eye perspective. We're not going to get super deep into password spraying, brute force, dictionary attacks. There are a lot of videos, a lot of free resources on hacking and understanding vulnerability management, but we are going to touch on them to the extent that CompTIA wants you to know. Fun fact, the butterflies are actually from the crustacean family. Sorry, Kennedy. I had no idea. Now, I do apologize. I can't take my face out. That BSEC, you're right, man. This is the one thing I don't like about. Take chat overlay out. There we go. What does CompTIA want you to know? They want you to understand malware in and of itself is just software that is malicious, right? Malicious means bad. Software, you put the two words together, you get malware. Again, some of this for some of you may be really elementary, and for some of you just getting here, I remember that was what I needed. I didn't understand some of this stuff. And that's what we're here for, right? Spanish, mal equals bad. That's also true. Mal, muy muy bad. Right? Viruses and worms spread within code without authorization. And we're going to get more into the different types of viruses that we have. The key things here to remember, and again, we're going to touch over these. If you're going into your domain objectives, I always recommend finding a way to document keywords, figuring out words that work for you, right? That help you remember. What I want you to understand is viruses require something, an opening of a file, clicking. Viruses require something. for you to do something, okay? Worms can spread without you doing anything. Remember, worms spread on their own. Viruses require you spreading them, okay? Space Tacos in the house. What's going on, Space Tacos? Good to see you. I'm writing a CTF right now for Haiku, and my website is actually my pretend website is actually called Space Tacos. I can't get the HTML to work for the fake link, but that's what I'm working on. All right, CompTIA wants you to understand that the difference between viruses and worms. Viruses need you to do something. A worm can replicate on its own without you doing anything. Trojans. Think about the story of the Trojan horse. They bring in this gift of a horse to the city of Troy, and inside the horse is a bunch of, I can't remember who it was. They were inside the horse and they're ready to fight. Same concept, just using the same term. You're downloading the flowerpot.com flower identifier app on your computer, right? But with that, and it's a legitimate application. It identifies flowers for you, all that kind of stuff. But when you downloaded it, with it came something that was malicious. We call those Trojans, Trojan horses. And then we see potentially unwanted applications, pups or PUAs, pre-installed bloatware. You can see that term come up. Not completely concealed, but installation may be covert because it's not going to hurt your computer, but it's not going to help you. Also called grayware. And then we see classification by payload, right? So we see classification by vector, or how the infection method happened. And then we're going to see CompTIA wanting us to understand classification by payload. Payload is that data that's included within that vector, right? Like we are the Greeks, we're in the white horse. Thank you, Sec. Moderator extraordinaire. So we're going to pause, right? So going back to that Slay Security Plus method, we did our quiz. We missed some questions, right? What's that next phase? We look at the questions we missed. We do some documented, targeted study. So now we're going to look at our slides. We're like, okay, cool. I got these questions. Let's figure out what this means. Computer viruses. We have 4 different kinds that CompTIA wants you to be familiar with. When we see non-resident or file infector, I don't know why they chose this, but you may see it pop up. That means that's an application virus. CompTIA refers to it as a host executable file. It's a program, it's an application virus. It is a virus that is in a program that you're running, okay? Then we have memory resident viruses. Those live in memory and don't require you to execute anything. We have boot sector viruses. Boot sector viruses, who needs the operating system when a boot sector virus actually is the first thing every time your computer boots up? That virus is in the boot sector of that process, and it is right there. You know, it's there, baby. It's there. It's here, and it's squirrely. So get used to it. And then we have script or macro viruses. If you've got I think it's Visual Basic Script or different scripting tools within Microsoft Word, Excel spreadsheets. Those macros can also be a source of our viruses. So those are the 4 ones that CompTIA wants you to understand. So non-resident, we can look at those as program viruses. It's part of the application. So put non-resident file infector. If you go back to your objectives, right? You understand that boot sector viruses are at the beginning. Script viruses, operating system and browser based. VB script, WS script, PowerShell Windows script, and macros. BSEC can really help fill us in on some of what that looks like in the real world. Some of the earliest computer worms or computer bugs, the earliest computer bug was a legitimate moth inside a massive computer. If you Google that, there's a cool image of that. The earliest computer worms would propagate in memory over network links, really looking for those vulnerabilities in the computers, consume bandwidth, and crash the process. Now we're moving into fileless malware. Let's take a little bit of a look to see kind of how that works. What does fileless malware look like? Well, a user typically receives some kind of spam email or a phishing email. The user clicks on the link. That malicious website loads Flash or Java, something with known vulnerabilities in the computer. From there, Flash opens PowerShell And thus the scripting begins. PowerShell then will go out, download the other bits and pieces of the damage they're going to do. PowerShell then locates the data, and then from here at this step 6, this is where we can start looking at persistence and hanging out for a long time. So you click it, it opens up this vulnerability. Flash gets PowerShell working, getting that script launched. See, there's no file. We didn't open a program. You literally clicked on a link. Don't click on things, Carl. CompTIA wants you to be familiar with spyware, adware, and keyloggers. Adware, again, comes with that pup bloatware tag with it, right? There's changes to our browser settings that we can do to avoid the adware. They want you to have an understanding of tracking cookies, super cookies, and beacons, and just have a familiarity of what those look like. Spyware, malware, logs your local activity, uses recording devices and screenshots. Spyware is what it sounds like, malicious software that spies on you. And then we have keyloggers. Those can be software keyloggers, and those also can be hardware keyloggers. I can't zoom in, but if you, dang it, I really wish I could. If you were able to look at this meterpreter script right here, we see that there's a key scan dump. Here comes the incoming keystrokes, and you can see that this keylogger got, this person went to the tickets.com. And when here we can see they did a tab, right shift, right pad, and then there's their password with their username. Literally the keylogger tracks everything that you're typing. Pretty straightforward. Backdoors and remote access Trojans. Backdoor malware installs that backdoor. This malicious program software installs a backdoor in your operating system within the frameworks, the architecture of your computer, so that hackers, the baddies, can go back in, get into the backdoor. It is exactly what it sounds like. They're going to give you a scenario that talks about somebody coming in and maybe circumventing in, and you're going to see backdoor malware as an option, right? Remote access Trojan. Well, again, this one describes basically what it sounds like. It's a Trojan. So you know what that is now. It's a file that looks legit. You downloaded it. And within that, oh, that's a good one. BSEC insider threats or backdoor issues as well. Absolutely. That's a great something that CompTIA doesn't cover, but again, in the real world, we see that. But a remote access Trojan is exactly what it looks like. It's a benign program. You download it. Then the malware within that, the Trojan within that, creates a remote access. We've heard that many times throughout the industry in your journey thus far. Remote access. What is remote access? That means somebody can access your computer remotely, right? Bots and botnets. Brand new to the industry. Maybe go back and do some refreshing. Bots and botnets have to do with where we take over somebody's system and we turn that into basically a zombie computer. And you can use that zombie computer as one of your botnets or bots, and they go out and they do the dirty work for you. Command and control, they want you to understand what C2, we commonly refer to command and control as C2 or CNC. I hear it more as C2. Command and control it can be automated, but typically C2 is the bad guy's computer. I'm hacking on BSEC, I get in BSEC's box, put a remote access Trojan, make that connection. Now C2, command and control. I'm in control now. Backdoors from misconfiguration and unauthorized software. Again, not only for the CompTIA exam, but something in your cybersecurity career you want to be familiar with is understanding the importance of misconfigurations and unauthorized software being in computers, right? Shadow IT or just misconfiguration. So work with your IT people, work with your fellow sysadmins around those misconfigurations. If you're in a position where you're seeing those vulnerabilities and maybe it's honestly not something that's being brought up, bring those up and BSEC can shed some light into what that looks like. How do you have that conversation? Rootkits, local administrator versus system root privileges. Think about local admin. Think about the things that you can do as a local admin versus, right, root. You're the boss. Ransomware, crypto malware, and logic bombs. CompTIA wants you to be familiar with ransomware. It's a nuisance locked out by user replacing the shell. What they're really saying is they take and they encrypt your files, and they say, pay me money or you're not going to get your files back. And that can be everything in that file system. That's why it's super important. We say this over and over again, that you have backups. Not only do you have recent backups, but the most important part is being tested. How would you like to be the Carl that says, oh, we got backups, don't worry about it. Then you go to spin one up and they haven't been tested. So making sure those backups are being tested. That is literally, that is the most used ransomware image. And then logic bombs. Logic bombs, what CompTIA is going to ask you about is you're going to see things like cron tab. Okay, so there's some keywords you may see is cron tab. Logic bombs. When you think logic bomb, think if this condition is met, then this happens. I'm a employee at a cybersecurity company, and I said, you know what? I think I'm going to get fired soon. So I write in whatever, right? I put in some kind of malware that says when Jesse's last day, when HR clicks no longer an employee, when that parameter, that condition has been met, then the bomb goes off. So conditional logic bomb, think conditional. Once that condition is met, the bomb goes off. And then TTPs and IOCs. I'm sure you've heard that many, many times here in the industry. TTPs and IOCs. TTPs happens to deal with tactics and procedures of our threat actors. And then IOCs, we look at those as indicators of compromise. What did the hacker do? What did the threat actor do that leads you to believe that your system has been compromised? Highly recommend that you're on your journey, you check out MITRE Attacks Framework and that website. Right, chat. What's going on? We're going to pause right now on the lesson. We get a little bit of coffee. Get ready for our guest. Good day. Good day, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, you saw him this morning. Maybe it didn't. If you haven't before, DJ BSEC.
Oh, I'm down at the bottom. I'm little. I'm not.
Go. There you go. Now you're a real IT boy.
Bring me in with a little bit of humor. That was pretty funny.
What's going on, man? How's your day? Talk to us.
It was pretty busy. Busy day. I was screaming and yelling at vendors today. So
really?
It was it was one of those days. So I made a couple of notes because I really do want to talk about a couple of these things. The first one, that first question that we saw with what was it? The computer.
Let me go back.
I remember it. I mean, it's a sysadmin or the help desk person setting up the laptop. He put the laptop on the network, and you had and your four answers were they couldn't connect to the network or the local connection was wrong. You had PUP, so potentially unwanted programs. You had malware. You had registry settings, and I think they gave the answers of PUP and malware. So, considering tonight we're talking about malware and PUP, that definitely would be something that I would assume that would be the answer, right? But in all honesty, local connection is probably the number one thing on there that's going to keep them from connecting.
Like at the end of the day, like in the real world, like
yes, like in the real
very
world.
Well
so
it could be malware and it could be PUPs, but in reality, it's probably just incorrect local network settings.
Well, in I shot that in the private chat with you was, well, what system are we talking about? It's connecting to the network. What is it? What system is shutting it down? Is it just disconnecting? So is it like NAC? Is it network access controls? Right. Is it something that's on the firewall that's shutting it down? It's an extremely, and we've said it before, it's an extremely broad question and there are so many underlying technologies that would shut it down. So you don't. That's a hard question to answer.
Well, and luckily, I have the ability. We can write CompTIA, and we can tell them that, hey, this is potentially a bad question. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's one of those questions where you look at it, and so if I'd never done security and I'd never done networking, and I have no sense of any of this, and I'm studying for Sec Plus, and I'm reading it, and that's what comes across, I'm going to answer that question the way that it's on there. If I'm in the field, you say what?
I would say the same thing. I would answer it malware or incorrect local network setting.
Right. PUP, like you said, PUP is one of those things that it's potentially, the word there, potentially unwanted program. Meaning something, like you said, like bloatware. Don't necessarily want this on my machine. Like you go buy a machine at Best Buy or whatever, and it's already got McAfee on there for 30 days. Like, don't put all that crap on there. That kind of stuff. That's what PUP is. And the only reason that you're going to get kicked off the network is if you have a box or something that's on the network that when that laptop connects, it's connecting, which is I mean, we could really get into the weeds with this, but this laptop would have to connect, and it would have to be connecting to a system that is then reading the laptop and seeing everything on it, and then knowing that.
Let's dissect this answer, BSEC, because look at this. It says an incorrect network setting is not the most likely culprit since the system locked out every new laptop plugged into the network. So that's where they're coming from, is the intern discovers that the system automatically blocks all these brand connects user laptops.
Yeah, but it doesn't say that they're new. It says they're used laptops.
Let's do this. Let's get a screenshot of this bad boy.
Because a used laptop, what if I am, I'll use what we used last night. What if I'm Joe the plumber, and I went and bought 10 laptops from Bob the plumber, and Bob, over in Bob's company, he uses a 10.1.1.0 network, and I use a 192.168 network. And all of those laptops they don't run DHCP. They run static. None of them are going to connect. They're not going to pull a DHCP address. They're all going to be static with the wrong network address. I mean, that's potentially the biggest issue. Because if it would have said it's a brand new laptop, that's one thing. If it says it's a used laptop, who knows what's on there and knows what settings are on there?
Right.
And so that's a question. That's why I said that's a question that's really
sideways.
Yeah, the answers. If they wouldn't give the answer of not being able to get or network issues, then I 100% would say like, okay, well, we're going to PUP and malware, because registry settings. I mean, that would mean somebody screwed with every single computer's registry setting. I don't see that.
Right, not just the one unit, which again, that's something that people, when you're answering those questions, you look at what is the answer affect? Does it affect just one unit, or is it something that's going to affect the entire enterprise? All right, we got new questions, BSEC. We're going to answer these ones together. So you're on the hot seat. A system administrator, a sysadmin, has monitored several areas of the network and local systems that are out of their normal ranges. The administrator begins to believe they have caught a hacker on the network. Analyzing their activities on the network provides what information? Tactics, techniques, procedures, and performance. You can choose of those three. And I know you're on the app, BSEC, so go ahead and answer that one and let us know if you got it right.
Let's see if I am. Oh, there it goes. I had something about a database a minute ago. Oh, select the best three. Holy smokes.
The administrator begins to believe they have caught a hacker on the network. Analyzing what they are doing on the network provides what information? Their tactics, their techniques, their procedures, or their performance. Pick three of those four. What do you think?
You want my answer?
No.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I hear
I was like, you want it right now, or we want to wait until it comes across?
the forwardness of people who are just like, it's brevity, baby. I ain't got time. Like, no, I do not want your answer.
Tell it like it is. Tell it like it is.
That's why we got you on here, B-Sec. Someone needs to tell it like it is. We need to have a segment. Tell it like it is.
Tell it like it is.
DJ B-Sec.
It's not called jaw jacking. It's called tell it like it is.
Tell it like it is. We went over this one, but you're going to hear it all the time in cybersecurity. You're going to hear it over and over. You're going to hear it ad nauseum in this industry. TT, tactics, techniques, or technique tactics. TTP, tactics, techniques, and procedures. You guys are slaying.
Yay! That's what I'm talking about.
Let's go. Is that just from a standard 100%. Old school Stream Deck? Is that from an old school Stream Deck? Your sounds? Is your sounds from just an old school Stream Deck?
Yeah, I got a 4x8. I got the massive Stream Deck.
Cool. A help desk.
I think I've got 30 of them.
30 help desks?
No, I got 30 sounds on here.
Oh. A help desk receives multiple calls from customers stating that they are experiencing incredibly slow connections to needed files, and an increasing number of users are having problems logging into their accounts. Resource consumption and resource inaccessibility are typically indicators of what attack? Trojan, A. B. Account compromise. C. Denial of service. Or D. Ransomware.
Think about this.
Think about the question. This is a great question of like a realistic security plus question. Really straightforward. Increasing number of users having problems logging into their net accounts, resource consumption, and resource inaccessibility. So what is that really saying? What does that inaccessibility mean? It means that I cannot get to my service that I'm trying to get to is being denied. I cannot get to the resource that I need to get to.
Which is the A of the triad.
The accessibility. Exactly. So we take it back again. It's that tree, root, however you want to look at it, method where we look at, well, what are they talking about? Yeah, you can answer the question, but how does it connect to the bigger picture of cybersecurity? I'm hoping to see 100% on this one, folks.
Yeah, almost.
Yeah, it's all right. We're here to learn. We are here to learn because listen, and I totally see why this person says increasing number of users are having problems logging into their accounts. And so we see account compromise. That's not the worst answer, but we're looking at a bigger picture. Cannot get to their files, incredibly slow connections. To me, that says denial of service, and I could be wrong, but no, it's a denial of service attack, right?
So why is it not account compromise?
It's not account compromise. It says, CompTIA says, a compromised account would cause problems for a single user.
Single person. There you go.
But not the greater, help desk receives multiple calls from customers. I can't get in. BSEC can't get in. Zima can't get in. Marcelo can't get in. Kenneth Lowey cannot get in. So it's not just the one account that's compromised, right? It's a denial of service attack. All these.
And there's keywords in that. There's keywords in there. It says a number of users, which would mean all of their accounts would have been compromised. And then it says resources. So
yep. And that's the other,
there's your keys.
So we see the people, and then the other key, and it does say this in the description, is the resource consumption and resource inaccessibility. You being locked out of your account isn't going to have to do with resource consumption or resource inaccessibility. That just means you're locked out, right? We're talking about resource inaccessibility. It is down. It's not there for you to get to. You cannot get to that resource. It doesn't mean that you're locked out. It means that resource is either down, it's been tampered with to a degree where that service has been denied to you.
And dissecting it just a tiny bit more, if you read the very first part of this, it says that they've received multiple calls. So we've got multiple people, multiple customers stating that they are experiencing incredibly slow connections. So we're not talking about local files. We're talking about connections possibly to another server. Or in this day and age, we're talking about SaaS applications like OneDrive or Google Drive. So the connections, the bandwidth, for whatever reason, the bandwidth to get to that stuff is crushed. So that's where you go, oh, okay.
And then SaaS is software as a service. Wow, I might have caps lock on. Come on, computer, you can do it. You can do it. Think you can. You think you can. We're going to, I've got this one, which I'll keep this one. I also have a really sweet, I almost said CompTIA ThinkPad. Man, my brain. I have a sweet ThinkPad that I am going to, Jerry's going to, has sponsored us with our workstation. I've got a laptop that has, I think, 40 gigs of RAM. And we're going to give that away to somebody in the industry who's in need of a computer. So really excited for that coming up.
There you go.
Yes. Yes. I'd give this one away too, but I need to have some kind of backup.
Yeah. BCP right there.
Yes. Need something. But I do have this one. So the backup that I have, we're going to give that away. No charge, no cost to somebody who's in need of a computer. I don't know what that looks like yet, but that will happen. Super pumped. And no, I didn't forget. If you think I forgot about the 2 TCM giveaways, I didn't forget. If you think that we forgot about the CompTIA Security Plus vouchers, we did not forget whatsoever here at Slay Security Plus. We want to do giveaways in a way that just doesn't bring people for viewers. I don't care about views. We want to do giveaways that mean something. And so a TCM subscription without some parameters around that just to get people to jump onto the channel isn't what we're going for. And so we are looking at creating a different way to do these giveaways that keeps people, gives them free stuff. But I always think it's really powerful where there's this piece of accountability. Like, yeah, I'm going to pay for a year of your TCM, but we're going to do something together. I don't know. Or we're going to, you got your Security Plus. Well, let's do a live study group and you're going to help host it, right? Bring that sense of ownership, and it goes so far in that volunteer and helping others space. What are we talking about here? Cybersecurity, or are we talking about self-help, Jesse? Come on, bro. Kind of both.
Talk about giveaways. That's what we're talking about.
You see the numbers? We're like, 50,000 people are here now.
Yeah. Everything jumps. Woo! Free laptop.
Let me know if this is your first time in chat. I know I saw a few first timers, but I also know that we've got a pretty good core group of students that have been following us this 701 and following Slay Security for a bit. Oh, is that the last question? Oh, it was. Did we miss one? There
was one about database that was in there. I don't know if that was.
There it is.
There you go. There you go.
A hacker successfully exfiltrates a database of user passwords and attempts to gain access to it, as the hacker can now go around the authentication system. What type of attack has this attacker achieved? Password spraying, brute force, dictionary, or offline? Ken McDonald, welcome to the party, pal.
Welcome to the party, pal.
A hacker successfully exfiltrates. Remember we said about exfil? What does that mean? Our vocab people? Takes out, right? Takes away, takes out, exfiltrates, sneakily takes out a database of user passwords and attempts to gain access to it, as the hacker can now go around the authentication system. What type of attack has the attacker achieved? I see some. This is a good one because
there's a lot of answers to this question.
The part about exfiltrates makes me think offline, because they take it and maybe they're passing the hashes or they're cracking them offline with their powerful GPUs.
Yep.
Brute force. Of all the possibilities, I don't think it's brute force.
Yeah, why not?
A hacker successfully exfiltrates a database of user passwords. Okay, so we got that part. And attempts to gain access to it. To the database?
To the database. He can't get into it. It's still locked. So how's he going to get into it? is what this is.
Offline.
Is what I'm gathering.
Offline. I think I go offline because he cannot get access to.
Because he go around the authentication.
But this curiosity is killing me, folks. We got all of our votes here locked in.
Man, we're all over the place.
That's good. We're learning. This is a good question.
Yeah,
offline.
I got it.
An offline attack means the hacker has obtained a database of password hashes. The hacker then can perform attacks against the offline database in an attempt to compromise the encryption. We're talking about hashes. Remember, you cannot decode or decrypt a hash, so you're not necessarily... You're passing the hash. You're trying to see if that hash potentially worked as a password somewhere else.
And have we talked about what...
Rainbow tables and
okay.
Consulting? We have. Not, we will get way more into it BSEC later in the course, but we do talk about a little bit more about rainbow tables and what that looks like. All right, so now this is a good example of what Slace Security Plus, that learning method looks like. So we did our first few questions. In reality, it'll probably been a few more, and then you have done some targeted studies. So now you've taken your studies, you did a test, and then you watched the slides that we just went through, and you're going, okay, I feel pretty confident, but I still have some areas of targeted study. And that is where something like Professor Mester's notes, no, we're not sponsored by Professor Mester. I just think he's the best in the biz. And his content, the notes that he puts out, is exactly what CompTIA wants in a way that everybody on planet Earth can understand. So all that to recap, we just did the pre-test to see what we didn't know. Then we followed that up with some slides and some demonstrations to talk about it. Then we quizzed ourselves again to see where we are at. And now let's say that we didn't do as good as we wanted. So now we want to do some targeted study. So now instead of just filtering through this, all this mindless nonsense, you can go through and targeted study the areas that you're having a problem with. This is going to exponentially increase your ability to retain the information and then effectively recall it. So retaining and recalling are two different things. Your recalling processes will get so much better because you're going to have just filtered what the answer, you're going to filter what you're looking for much, much more quickly than if you're just trying to get it from the entire book of CompTIA stuff. So we're doing our extended study, and then we'd go back in and continue to take more questions to see where you're at, and you repeat that process for your study sessions. All right. $30. Highly recommend you go check out Professor Mester's notes. I think really they are some of the best in the business. Got a few minutes left of chat. It's our family Mario Party night. DJ BSEC, I'm going to turn the microphone over to you for a second. Let's get the slides off. I want to talk a little bit about, if it's okay with you, and I know that you probably have a few stories. Would you mind just humoring our Slay Security Plus crowd, because we're studying for all this theory. You mentioned in private chat, what are some examples, again, just some of the stuff that you see right here that you're like, dude, I literally deal with this, and this is what it actually looks like.
So I sent this in chat. We were talking about, we weren't talking about insider threat. We were talking about backdoors. And it piqued my mind. I was like, wait a second, I've got a backdoor question or an answer for you, or a story. So there was a company that got, they went through a merger and acquisition, and it wasn't like a hostile takeover, but the guy that worked there as the main IT person, as we all know with mergers and acquisitions, sometimes when you get acquired, your job also gets acquired and gets taken over. But the guy had full-blown access to everything. He was in IT. As IT people do, we have access to a lot of stuff. He was let go. And when he was let go, he basically destroyed the company. And what he ended up doing is he still had access. Even though they shut him down, he had other accounts that he had on their equipment in their data center and so forth that he was able to get into it, shut the systems down. He had access to like HVAC as well. He was able to shut down HVAC, spin up the servers, basically causing like massive amounts of damage. he's in jail now, but that's something that people don't think of when it comes to backdoors. And that's a big thing, because that's insider threat. A lot of people don't think about insider threat. But as somebody in IT, as in security, you know how much access you have. And the company, somebody being in IT and somebody being in security and having a lot of access, the company is sitting there allowing you to necessarily have that. They trust you to have that access, because there's so many things that we can look at and see and do throughout a company. This one came back to bite somebody in the butt, basically. It was crazy. The long story. I will have to find it and send it to you.
You should, because the unfettered access that I think in IT that we get, even at the entry-level positions, at least, especially because typically we see IT as one of those areas in a company that's like, we need someone to do it. So somebody gets the job and they say, okay, you're the guy. Why shouldn't you have all the passwords? Why shouldn't you be global admin? Why shouldn't you be everything? And I think people tend to forget, just because you're in IT, the least security, right? The principle of like permissions, like, right? That still applies even to us IT people. Like,
yeah, and that's why you have 2 accounts. That's why you have a daily account privilege and an admin account.
Yep.
100%. One of the other things that you talked about earlier, which I wanted to touch on, was we talked about what was it? The fileless stuff through phishing. One thing I want to make sure everybody knows, in the slide that you had, I think that was from CSO, but they were talking about Flash, and Flash is no longer. Flash is gone.
Isn't that crazy? It's funny because that was like a relatively recent article where still you see it so much in IT and cybersecurity. Like, we give examples of things that are just aren't relevant, or you just like, wait a minute, we don't even use that anymore.
Yeah, and then so in 2020 is when Adobe no longer supported Flash. December 2020, and then the following month they basically told everybody to remove it from their machines, remove all access. So Flash is no longer. So just interesting. Yeah, RIP Flash, man. And that was the program to do everything in, make web pages and cool little games. So yeah, that was a crazy one. It's a fun night. Got a lot of good information. This is a great domain to learn from, backing off of the domain from the last time with all of the phishing messages and other ways. This is a domain probably that you will see on a day-to-day basis in this field. You're not necessarily going to see a virus and a worm every single day, but you are definitely going to be seeing phishing messages and so forth.
CompTIA has changed their spin, because in 601 they're really talking about explaining viruses. Now they're like they give you an overview of what a worm is, because the likelihood that day-to-day and self-replicate, it doesn't. Yeah, see it happen.
All the polymorphic stuff. I mean, it's not that it doesn't exist. It's just not. It's not there. I mean, it's not it's not the vector that they're looking for.
Yeah. And I'm pulling up right now some of the CompTIA lesson material. If you're just getting here, 6:11, we're wrapping up our Slay Security Plus. I want to thank everybody that came out tonight. We're not quite done yet, but make sure you join us every Monday and every Thursday at 7 Eastern Standard Time for Slay Security Plus. Live special guests, live exam prep, community building. It's all right here. We have a blast. We like to party.
Oh yeah, the Rich 464 says he still finds Flash on there. It's not that it's not there. It's just no longer supported, and Adobe is saying get rid of it because it's not being built in anything. I don't think it's even supported by Chrome or Edge or any of the browsers anymore.
No, I think a lot of times you get a little pop-up saying it's no longer supported. You should.
Yeah. If you have Flash on the machine itself, that's a different story.
Okay, let's roll. We're going to use the same. We're going to use the same domain. We're going to walk through this. Now, during 601, I probably wouldn't have said this. For 701, I feel confident in saying this. The 701 Cert Master stuff is pretty good. It's pricey, and I think there's equally stuff out there, but I think the Cert Master stuff, if you can afford it, is decent this time. I don't think it's the best, but this is how CompTIA explains for you. This is like bonus stuff. You don't get to see this anywhere else in the free cybersecurity study space, what the CompTIA is actually, what their materials look like, and what they're looking for. Malware of the intrusion attempts perpetrated, blah, 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 blah. Malware, right? Let's look at here. Software that serves a malicious purpose, typically installed without their user's consent or knowledge. The CompTIA lets you click and see how confident you are. Go back. Here we go. A computer virus, type of malware designed to replicate and spread from computer to computer by infecting. What is a non-resident file infector? This virus is contained within a host executable file, right? When you think about it as professionals, we can put those words together and be like, host executable file. Okay. Oh, a program, right? CompTIA says the same thing. Or I'm sorry, Professor Messer says the same thing. Program viruses. It's part of the application. CompTIA calls them non-resident file infectors. All right, CompTIA says memory resident. Here we have boot sector viruses, script viruses, and macro. Memory resident. When the host file is executed, the virus creates a new process for itself within the memory. This malicious process remains in the memory even if the host process is terminated.
I think that would you have the non-file? I think we're talking more along the lines of like DLLs and stuff when it comes to that.
Mm-hmm.
Overwriting a DLL.
Direct link library, correct? And aren't DLLs basically just like little, I don't know, little programs that every program uses that they go out and reach for to tell them where to go?
That's
right?
That's what it runs off of. So the program itself reaches back out. I mean, go on your computer right now and do a search for DLL, and it's just gonna spit garbage all over the place. They're all over the place, but they're dynamic link libraries that the program itself reaches back out and it's giving it the instructions.
So if you're able to go in there in a direct link and you put malicious code in there, the program's going to go out to that direct link library that's full of all these things that various programs use from. Consider it like a storehouse of directions, and it's going to go to that direct link library and say, oh, I need that link to do whatever it was, and it's going to grab that, and with that comes the malicious the software or the code or whatever, right?
Right. And a lot of those are known libraries. So one.dll, that library is known and it's a good library. So then when you actually log in and you get that phishing email and it downloads its issue, or it downloads its file, and then it's going to replace that file. So it replaces that file. So now it still looks like it's a good file. And really the only way that you can mitigate that is to know that that specific file is only supposed to be 100 kilobytes big, and it's not 100. When it's 101, then you might get a suspicious thing. Oh, wait, did this change? You got a hash or something on there. Yeah.
I think that's why understanding, you don't need to be a Microsoft Windows or a Linux expert, but getting to understand what does your computer normally look like when it's, whatever your job is, what does that workstation normally look like, and get used to services that should be running, right? So that when you see a counterfeit, you know, wait a minute, that usually doesn't require that much resources, or that file usually isn't that big. BSEC, would you say maybe not spend your entire career in the fundamentals? I think we see this proliferation, and I agree, you can get into cyber at any way you can, but I think that you do yourself a disservice when you skip all the IT and networking fundamentals.
That's what we were talking about last night. We were talking about getting security. Should I go get my Sec Plus, and should I get my CC, and should I get this? The fact of actually being in there and getting your hands on in a help desk or something along those lines helps tremendously, because you're actually doing the job. Are you doing the cybersecurity job where you're threat hunting something, or no? But what you are doing is, user over here has a problem with their computer. It might not have anything to do with security, but now you know that this problem happens within this application, and it's a known problem, and it happens, once or twice a week. But then if there's a program that never has an issue, and all of a sudden there's an issue, it kind of piques your interest. Like, why all of a sudden does this one person have this one issue? What's going on with it?
Yeah, and I think when we talk about the industry as a whole, I was watching a video of a gentleman, and he was saying he's been in the industry for 30 years, 20, 30 years. And he was talking about how he's seen it change. And he was saying, back before there was cybersecurity, it was just the sysadmins had to learn how to better protect passwords. Like, there really wasn't cybersecurity. Like, you started in IT, and then once you had your mind wrapped around how it all worked, you could start applying security measures. And so they're like, well, we need a cybersecurity department. And most companies went, where's our most senior IT guys? Hey, you're now over security. It wasn't really like, we kind of look at like, oh, you're just IT. Oh, and you're cybersecurity. I mean, they're not technically the same, but really at the end of the day, it was the sysadmins. And that's why we still see kind of that gatekeeping mentality of like, yo, I had to learn this the hard way, and you should too. I think that you shouldn't skip the fundamentals, but that's where that comes from, is the sysadmins. Those were the cyber guys. There was no cybersecurity. I mean, there was no.
But also, think about what you just said. You had, it was a 30. He's been in the industry 30 years or whatever. Yeah, but you have your sysadmins, and let's say in 2000 you had a sysadmin that came in and they were within the company for until 2010, and cybersecurity starts kicking off, and it's like, who's going to do this for us? Well, the guy that's been doing everything for us for 10 years.
Yep.
Now that 10-year person as the sysadmin is now the intro security person. So when people come in and they're like, hey, I'm going to get Sec Plus, and I'm going to get CC, and I'm going to just do this and knock it out, and then I'm going to jump into cyber. That's why you hear Jerry, you hear others that stream a lot go, those entry-level cyber jobs are not like you have no experience. You have to understand the fundamentals and the basics to be able to build on that.
They're entry level in that cyber space.
Right.
They're not necessarily true. Some can be, but when we're talking at the cybersecurity level, securing enterprises, do you have to be an expert? No. But just like BSEC said, yes, there are entry level cyber jobs, but they're not necessarily entry level jobs, period.
Think of it like as a stacked bar graph. That's a good way to think about it. So you have a stacked bar graph where you have your entry-level IT, and you can know nothing and be an entry-level IT and walk into help desk, and you're learning how to reset passwords and stuff, and you're learning as you're going up that bar graph. And then the color changes, and that's where you can go into the cyber. You can continue on to the higher up IT, but you could also now get into the cyber area. That's not to say that you can't sit out here and learn everything and do it all, and then walk up to a company and be like, boom, I can do it. Because you 100% can go do Sec Plus.
Joe Helly, Michael Patrick, Heath, a lot of these guys. But can you? The sacrifice, Joe will tell you, Heath will tell you, Michael Patrick will tell you, yes, they didn't have any of those backgrounds and they were able to walk right into IT and then cyber. But the amount of time and sacrifice it took to just go from zero to hero was a ton on their family. So there is no right path and there isn't a race, but there is a lot to be said for just, whoa. It's a journey. You're going to get there. Learn on the way. Learn about IT and networking. And if you've been a sysadmin for 20, 30 years and you're frustrated, let's find out how to maybe polish your professional networking skills. Because it's probably not an experience issue. If you've been in the IT industry, hands on a keyboard, doing a lot of this stuff, or even in the cyber issue, yes, I think there's things well outside of my knowledge and control that I don't understand as far as budgeting, hiring, and where we're at. But as far as just a grand scale of things, maybe you look at your resume, look at where your not your social media, your professional networking is at. Because those three things.
I was going to say, I'll end with this. 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I got into cyber. Okay. So I've been in the industry for about 26 years, and I did not consider myself cybersecurity or any of that. And talking with everybody, they're like, you've been in security for about 22 years. No, I'm not. I'm a sysadmin. I'm a network engineer. I've been doing this. And they're like, well, what have you been doing? You've been working with firewalls. You've been securing networks. You've been doing this. That's security. I'm like, oh yeah.
Dude, you're a C, babe, dude. You're like a CIO or a CISO.
And you are like, oh, that makes sense now. I get what you're saying. I don't see myself that way, but yes, I understand what you're saying, because when you have that type, the next jump for me is to go out and try and get a CSIM or CISSP, but you need 5 years. And they're like, well, you already have 5 years. You got way more than 5 years. But I'm like, no, I don't have 5 years of security because I'm not worried. There are so many facets when it comes to IT and when it comes to security, GRC, you've got to, don't walk into this and go, I'm going to be in security. Try to pick a lane. Try and pick a lane and attack it. And then if you don't like it, there's forks in the road. Take off and go to another spot. But learn, continuous learning. That's what it is.
Dude, this is it. I don't want to cloud that concept anymore. And so I'm not going to jaw jack my way out of that one. DJ BSEC, that was a great point, dude. Like, I'm watching chat blow up. Seeing people say that, like, listen, like, they're loving the discussion and the insight, and that this is very reassuring, instead of the opposite, where you could hear what we're saying and be like, oh shit, sorry, Kennedy, I'm never going to get a job. I'm never going to get into cybersecurity. This should be reassuring to you. This is a journey. Cybersecurity is not going anywhere. It's not. So learn, pick up skills, build that network. There will be positions available in cyber for years to come. Don't let this myth of the jobs are gone, we'll never get in. That's not true. That is just not true, man. There's so much to be said for what you're doing tonight, showing up to Slay Security Plus, the daily morning, the daily threat briefs, and plugging into the industry. I've been in it a year. I've had a lot of good experiences. I'm in cyber, okay? Do I work behind a keyboard threat hunting and being elite hacksaw? No, but I'm in cyber, baby. You don't have to do those things to be in cyber. Stop saying I'm an aspiring cybersecurity professional and just be a cybersecurity professional. What does that mean? It means you do the work, you do the stuff, period. Like, whether that's at a help desk and you're learning how to reset passwords and you're teaching awareness to people, be the industry. To do is to be, man.
100%.
Let's go.
Exactly.
BSEC, I'm going to cut loose. My gracious family has let us go for a little bit longer. I really like these longer sessions. I appreciate you, Jesse to Ben. I appreciate you being here on the show. It helps me get a better perspective, man. I've only been in this industry for a year. And so to hear things from you, it gives me inspiration to take it to the next level. And it gives these guys and gals and everybody who's tuning in also that hope and that fire, man. So we appreciate you. We appreciate your insight.
You are very welcome. Like I said, anytime you need me, I'm here. I will chat all night long.
Let's slay. Okay, let me think. Next week, we're still looking good. No live guest. Next week, in the next few weeks, we're going to be pretty nitty gritty with book studies, live testing. We'll get the new system set up whenever that comes in, and then we'll actually be able to live stream the Security Plus labs, so we can do some hands-on stuff together as a class, which will be really, really fun. I can't do that yet with the hardware I have, but this new CPU has some more cores that I can dedicate to VMs. So Slay Security Plus is on its way for that metamorphosis. Other than that, same thing. Continuing through domain 4, 2.4, 2.5, and then we'll be in domain 3 and 4 for a really long time. So that's where we're headed. Every Monday and Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I appreciate you all. I am Jesse J. You are Slay Security Plus. From me, DJ BSEC, and all of you, have a wonderful evening and take care of your mind.